Moto America star and proud Canadian Torrin Collins took pole position in his first Supersport qualifying session. Can he also claim his first victory here at the Shannonville opener?
The Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship once again returns to the home of champions, Shannonville Motorsport Park, to kick off the 2025 season. Last year, Sébastien Tremblay leaned on consistency and daring last lap maneuvers to capture the #1 plate. With an exceptionally deep field full of young and hungry Supersport talent, Tremblay will have his hands full all summer long, attempting to hold off the youth movement and maintain his Canadian crown. No more tests, time trials, or time spent wondering what could be. It's time at long last to go racing in Shannonville. Marshall Ferguson alongside Colin Fraser as we are here at Shannonville Motorsport Park, round number 1 of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship, and in the Pro Supersport class. The depth of this field this season, Colin, is unbelievable.
Yeah, we're going to have to stop being surprised about the quality in the middleweight class because it's produced the most consistently strong racing, and it's probably a little bit stronger going in this time. And the lap times are shockingly good, like at this track, very close to Superbike.
There is Torrin Collins qualifying on pole. Matt Simpson extremely close in behind as well. Really great performance for him.
1/10 of a second between first and second. Simpson is on that Yamaha 600, and that is the original gangster of the class. That is the bike that was the template for the first set of rules. We're on to the second set. The GSXR 750s have suddenly become predominant, and that's because of the efforts of Seb Tremblay, our reigning champion. There's Trevor Daly, top Canadian at Daytona, also on a GSXR 750. John Lang on an ex-Ben Young GSXR 750. Are you sensing a theme to this?
Yes, absolutely. Is Andrew Van Winkle as well on the Suzuki there, right alongside Marco Sousa. We see the back end of the grid completing things as we get a look around Shannonville Motorsport Park.
Parameter version of the track. That means we're not using any of the fun left and rights on the infield. Very, very challenging, and this is a track everybody knows well. Collins never has raced on this track. This is his first weekend here.
Torrin Collins on pole in his Pro Supersport CSBK debut. For more, let's go down to our Bridgestone pit reporter, Sarah Said.
Thanks, Marshall. Torrin Collins has taken his talents over to Pro Supersport, securing his first ever career pole position at the 2025 Bridgestone CSBK opener as he races in Shannonville for the first time. The 19-year-old made the switch to Supersport after competing in 2 Superbike races in 2024, one of which he won at his home track in Edmonton. Though this is a new challenge for him, Collins says his goal for the season is to try and dominate aboard his Navalda Suzuki. According to him, getting familiar with the track is the hardest part. He says there are a few bumps to be wary of and patches to watch out for when the course is wet, all of which he's still learning. But regardless of weather or track knowledge, he believes he can place on the podium today here in Shannonville. Back to you.
Thank you, Sarah, as we get a look at the Power Sports TO starting lights. And Pro Supersport in 2025 is underway full throttle, and everybody hopping that front wheel, but it's Torrin Collins into turn 1 around the outside.
Reigning champ Seb Tremblay in second, so GSXR 750s to the fore, and there you see Collins dangling that leg, that style that has surprised everyone here at Shannonville.
Settle in, everybody. You're going to get a chance to enjoy plenty of that throughout this race as Torrin Collins, in his unique riding style, is now out in front of Sébastien Tremblay. And you see Matt Simpson as well settling in comfortably in third.
Now Collins has an advantage. He competes full-time in Moto America in the United States, so he has race time behind him. The other guys have raced maybe at the regional last weekend, but most of these guys have not competed so far this year.
Collins down the end of the back straight for the first time as Simpson tucks in really, really tightly that time next to Sebastian Tremblay, trying to add some pressure on to last year's Pro Supersport champion.
So you have Collins, a complete rookie in this class behind. We have Tremblay, Simpson, Vieira. Those three, of course, are veterans of this category and have spent a lot of time hammering on each other at the very front of the pack.
What a moment that was for Torrin Collins, but you could basically say that every lap. You don't know whether or not it's a moment or he's just comfortable sliding the thing around.
I think it's both, and
yeah.
I think it's the level he's willing to push to. There you can see him dangling that left leg into turn 2. We've never seen anybody do that before. I can tell you that Tremblay is concerned about trying to ride around Collins and wondering what that's going to be like, has voiced that concern, and here he is leading the charge. Very similar motorcycles. Probably Tremblay's bike is slightly better, but you got to throw it to Simpson. Has missed a whole season, has unpacked out of mothballs his Yamahas, and is right in there, and at the regional turned some really impressive laps.
And the GP Bikes Ducati of Elliot Vieira sitting there in 4th position. The one-speed Suzuki of Trevor Daly in 5th. And it's Maverick Sear, Brad McRae, Phil de Gama Blanchette, John Lang, and Andrew Van Winkle are your top 10.
Now you got to feel for Daly because I'm sure he expects to be part of this lead group. He certainly has the pace, but he just didn't have a strong enough opening lap. And you can see there's just enough of a gap there. It's probably insurmountable. I don't know if anyone expected Collins to go so hard right away.
He is pushing the limits and just so active on that GSXR 750. As you see, Elliot Vieira starting to close down the gap up into Matt Simpson in 3rd.
Got to mention Sear in 6th on a brand new Triumph. A strong effort for a guy who was running at the front with Tremblay on the Ducati last fall.
Out in front, it's the number 71. He's new to the Pro Supersport class, but Torrin Collins pushing boundaries on the Nivalda Suzuki. Portions of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship are brought to you in part by Importations Thibault, Bridgestone, and EBC Brakes and Clutches. Closed captioning for the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship is brought to you in part by MotorcycleCourse.com, Keen Truck Incorporated, and Revs for Rhett. Welcome back to Shannonville Motorsport Park as we are on lap number 4, just closing this one down on lap number 3, a 106.192 for your leader, Torrin Collins, as he is setting the pace out in front and trying to hunt down Sebastian Tremblay's number 1 plate in the Pro Supersport class. It's not easy to achieve, but Seb knows he's the one everyone's looking at.
Really good to have the number 1 plate. I just hope it's not too much of a target for everybody else. I've been targeted a little bit too much in my career, so no, that's. I really enjoy it. Like last time I've won it, we switched to Superbike, so I wasn't able to ride it. But this year we stick with Supersport, and I'm happy I can ride it number 1.
Seb is right that number 1 is a target, and right now Matt Simpson, unretired after crew chiefing throughout last season, is out on his Yamaha in 3rd place. These two battled in the regional a week ago, and it's interesting that their lap times are within a 10th. There you see Simpson a little wide. That allows Tremblay to open up just a bit of a gap. So what we're seeing here is Tremblay's just trying to get a buffer zone between 1st and 3rd, but doesn't seem to be in a position to go and charge after Collins. Simpson seems to be a guy on the move, and the lap times reflect that.
Elliot Vieira trying to hang on to this podium discussion as well as he sits back there in 4th, and we go on board with Seb Tremblay into turn 1.
Yeah, you can see Collins just up in the distance, and that's a good carrot. It's close enough to be motivating, but the problem is that Collins is riding very hard, and making up that time is much easier said than done.
All 106s right now for Torrin Collins as he continues to lead here on lap number 6 now as they make their way towards the hairpin, then open it up down the back straight.
And I don't know if you noticed there with the drone shot, Daly is no further back than he was at the start of the race, and this is why it's so important to get going right away. And the guy who's done that incredibly well is Collins, again at a track he's never raced at.
He is really setting the pace and setting the tone for this season, as well as now Matt Simpson takes a look down the inside, a little bit of a different lean angle there as they go into the turn, and Simpson once again closing up that gap that he lost out on the same section last lap.
One of the problems that Simpson's facing is that the configuration of bike that he has, and he shares this with the Kawasaki 636 racers, not a lot of mid-range, not a lot of torque. The Generation 2 bikes like the Ducatis and the GSXR 750s have that mid-range, so they are a little slower maybe in the middle of the turn, where Simpson has to be absolutely at his limit. So Tremblay isn't blocking Simpson, but from Simpson's perspective, that's what it feels like.
Well, how impressive then is it for you to see Matt Simpson and what he's doing on this bike, trying to hang on to that GSXR 750?
Well, I think if Simpson had been riding the way he is right now 2 years ago, he probably would have easily taken the title. If you remember, it went right down to the wire at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It was a great battle, and Simpson was part of it. And we've had a tradition of the top guys graduating from this class. David McKay is in Superbike now, and Trevor Dion went up to Superbike straight out of winning the Pro Sport bike, which is now Supersport title. But again, we've had this generational rule change, which has really shaken things up.
Super entertaining class as well, as you see Simpson once again, and so aggressive. It does not seem like he's taken any time off whatsoever as someone goes deep. And is that, yes, Maverick's here on the Power Sports TO Triumph, and so he'll go through the runoff area and get back out onto track.
Yeah, there's the first glimpse of that triple. It was a few years ago that Kenny Reedman was winning championships on Triumphs. This is a different generation of motorcycle, and there you can see he's behind Alex Michel, maybe just slightly missed his brake marker. Michel has been looking very good on his Kawasaki, and of course is coming off a strong run at Daytona.
Oh, there's Michel as well. So I think he actually, when we saw the Maverick Sear replay there, it looked as though Michel missed his entry point to the corner as well and ran off into the grass. So they'll sort themselves out, but out front, Torrin Collins continues to lead as Tremblay trying to hold off Matt Simpson.
Yeah, and that moves some other people into the top 10, particularly Phil de Gama Blanchette, who's on a Ducati for the first time. He was on a very old Kawasaki last season, so it's good to see him starting to get comfortable on his V-twin.
How about Marco Souza being in the top 10 here as well, with all of the youth movement going on, including Andrew Van Winkle sitting up in 8th from out in British Columbia. As now Simpson goes full bore, throws it down the inside, and has to stand up Seb Tremblay.
Oh yeah, Tremblay will remember that and not appreciate it at all. That was a very aggressive move, but Simpson's been shopping for a while, and that may have been a bit of a Hail Mary. He just said, to heck with it, I have to take the chance. Wow. So right about here, he's really too far back, but he's made up his mind, he's going. He's squared up the bike, and right here, Tremblay just can't go to the apex because Simpson's already there. That's a classic block pass or a dive bomb or whatever you want to call it. It's how pretty much every motocross pass has ever been made, but you can see Tremblay is pretty much committed to the turn as Simpson comes underneath.
But the skill of Seb Tremblay to keep that thing right side up as well. Very reminiscent of a battle he had with Andrew Van Winkle at Shubenacadie last year. More when we return. Welcome back to Shannonville Motorsport Park as we are on lap number 11 of 18. Torrin Collins, you see, continuing to control the pace out in front as Matt Simpson into second spot. Sebastian Tremblay trying to climb his way up the podium here as they continue to battle.
Simpson was no doubt looking for some clear track to try and get the maximum lap time. He's dipped into the 6s, so he and Collins are the two fastest riders. We know from experience, Tremblay's probably breathing the tire, having a look at where Simpson's fast and figuring out what the best plan is going to be. Vieira has really faded off. Daly has had a strong pace, but he's just a little too far back. So I think whatever's going to happen is amongst these top 3. And again, Simpson is the catalyst at the moment.
Again, so impressive what he's been able to do in this race, coming back after spending time away last year, but he was certainly busy.
Yeah, he did some riding, including riding a BMW Superbike at the Rocky Mountain Bridgestone Tire Test. He was a crew chief last season and was very busy doing that. And I think coming off that fairly strong run at Daytona that was unexpected a year ago, he wanted to get back into riding, and he had these Yamahas, which are still quite potent. It may not be the absolute best bike in this class anymore, but it has been the benchmark bike for almost 2 decades.
I would also imagine that the inspiration of going quickly at Daytona would only give you the hunger to want to get back into it as quickly as possible, but had to wait financial considerations as well. But great to see Matt Simpson back on the grid. Yeah,
and Daytona is terrific training for Shannonville Motorsport Park. Very, very similar tracks, the long, high-speed times on the banking and 6th gear. That's the similarities are intense.
Torrin Collins leading out in front, 71 from 91, and then the one, Sebastian Tremblay in third.
Got to mention Brad McRae. He was at times the fastest at the regional races here. One of many people, including Vieira and Tremblay and Simpson, all turning really good laps in more sunny and warm conditions. So McRae's in the top 6, not a surprise, but maybe a little further back, and he and Daly would be expected to probably battle.
I wonder whether or not Elliot Vieira will see the number 9 one-speed Suzuki right up on his rear tire in just a minute, but Andrew Van Winkle sitting there in 7th as well. John Lang, Phil de Gama Blanchette, and Nathan Playford as well, reaching into the top 10 now, battling with Marco Souza.
Yeah, Playford back on the tour. He's been out for almost a season after a big crash at his home track at Grand Bend on that Ducati V-twin. He's another guy who was looking good at the regional races, so it's nice to see him getting busy with that Desmo again.
Simpson lines it up at the hairpin here and will open up the throttle, get as much drive as he can, but man, you see the gap that Torrin Collins still able to create, but he's kind of managing it at this point.
Yeah, this is what you need to do, and think of what this is like. You know, Collins, who has to some degree been mired mid-pack in Moto America, doesn't have the strongest program down there, so for him to have clear track in front of him and look at a good chance at winning a race, of course, you know, he joined CSBK for the first time in Alberta last year and was immediately on the pace, so this is, I think, his 6th ever race with us, his 2nd in this class, and he's been at or near the front all the time.
Yeah, and he is, at this point, really just finding a way to carve his name into the record books, being so young as well, having that unique riding style as well. We enjoyed off the top of the race, but said he was a little bit nervous being on pole position, hasn't had much of that in his career. Let's go down to our Bridgestone pit reporter, Sarah Said, who's with Torrin's dad.
I'm with Rupert Collins, the crew chief for Torrin Collins. Torrin has secured pole position and is now leading the way. Can you talk about his success on the track?
To me, it's great that he's able to come out here, show what he can do. I know what he can do. He's raced in internationally junior world championships in Moto America. He's doing pretty good. So it doesn't really surprise me coming here and him putting in some fast lap times. I'm happy that he can show what he can do.
What's his biggest challenge of first time racing at Shannonville?
Just the track, learning the track and just understanding the pace. And he's adapted pretty well.
Thank you so much.
Adapted pretty well is an understatement. Remember, less than 2 years ago, Collins came back from racing in Spain where he was doing pretty well, but not great. Had a really good Moto America debut in Utah, made the podium, and then has moved on to the Lattice team down there, doing not quite so well, again on Suzuki equipment. But his time in Europe with the other, as my friend likes to call it, junior axe murderers climbing the ladder, has clearly sharpened up his riding, his competitive spirit, and specifically his riding style, where he just chases the front end relentlessly. And most of the guys just can't ride the bike this way, or are too worried about the damage they're going to inflict on themselves and on their motorcycles if they do.
He has been impressive here in the Pro Supersport debut. Torrin Collins continues to lead as we head towards the checkered flag here in Shannonville. Portions of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship are brought to you in part by Importations Thibault, Bridgestone, and EBC Brakes and Clutches. Welcome back to Shannonville Motorsport Park as Torrin Collins continues to slide and wobble his way all the way around this place that he's learning, trying to figure out, and picking up extremely quickly as he continues to lead out in front of Matt Simpson, who actually had the fastest lap on track last lap.
Yeah, Simpson is pushing along. He is looking to make amends, to cut into Collins' margin. I think Collins got the message based on what we just saw. He's picked up his pace. Tremblay's, who we're wondering about because we thought he'd put on a late race charge, and it's just not happening.
Lap 16 of 18 here is, have to mention as well, the battle for 4th spot. Trevor Daly, the last couple of laps, has been able to really tighten down on the GP Bikes Ducati of Elliot Vieira.
And I think Tremblay is thinking championship again. Whoa! Huge moment there for Collins, and really aggressive on the throttle. Lucky to stay aboard. Looked back to see how far away Simpson was. Fortunately, the answer is pretty far. He didn't get jammed on that one, but that could have been ugly. And yeah, look at that, sideways on the brakes on the turn-in. So Collins, what's his response to a near miss is just crank it up. So you watch here, he's trying to get his balance. He's square on the bike, but he's very aggressive as he picks up the throttle, and it starts to spin. And then that asks a lot of that rear shock absorber and tire, and they handle it. He glances back, and of course that is the classic. Was there oil on the track? Did I miss something?
Yeah, the Colron Excavating Yamaha of Brad McRae has gone off. And so McRae, who was running up as high as 6th earlier on in this race, will take a trip through the long grass at Shannonville.
And McRae is coming back from missing all of last season from a crash at Daytona that hurt both his wrists. He's a helicopter pilot by his profession, and so the last season has been pretty uncomfortable for McRae. He was hoping to be racing the new Yamaha Triple this year, so lots going on in his life.
Yeah, absolutely. He would love to be able to pick up that R9 that we've seen have so much success in World Supersport, Moto America as well, and actually one of the teammates of Torrin Collins down in the States running that R9 as well. But here he is on the GSXR 750 as he races down in the States as well.
And can we mention at the turn where Collins almost fell a lap ago, he used the entire track, got up on the patch, was spinning the tire, no hesitation to get right back into the fight, right up to his armpits.
Bravery or the wonderful advantage of being able to forget things quickly?
All of the above, and the temptations of youth.
It is great to see Torrin as he peeks over his right shoulder here. The white flag is out. Final lap in race number 1 of the 2025 Pro Supersport class.
Got to hand it to Simpson, though. He's keeping him honest. He's pushing hard. They've pulled away from Tremblay, so that's good to see. Now, I don't think Simpson's planning on attending all the races. We know that Collins is for sure. Tremblay is. He's already preoccupied with keeping his #1 plate. But the problem is, you can wonder what kind of adversity Collins may encounter. Next we're at Shubenacadie, and he hasn't raced there before. But the easy way to handle these problems is just win all the races.
Well, yeah, and go and attack them in real time. And he certainly has a plan to do that as he fires down the back straight for the final time. There you see the gap, and now in behind, actually, wow, look, Trevor Daly is really closed up on Elliott Vieira. But Collins controls out front.
Yeah, I think Vieira has just gradually faded back and fallen into the clutches of Trevor Daly.
As Collins controls up front, and there is the move by Trevor Daly. Slides it down the inside, makes it stick, and we'll see whether or not there's enough track left here for Elliott Vieira to be able to get that 4th position back as Daly hard on the brakes. Looks like he'll control, but out front, it is Torrin Collins' day. He wins in his Pro Supersport Bridgestone CSBK debut.
Torrin Collins heads north of the border from his day job and does exactly what he set out to do with his new-to-him Suzuki. Strong effort, and now he's leading the points with only 8 races to go.
It is a great way to kick off his Pro Supersport career here in Canada as little wave to the marshals on his way around, cooling down, but he controlled that from start to finish.
Yeah, that was about as dominant as a performance can be. He started from pole, had to work hard to get the pole over Simpson, so Collins and Simpson have definitely established themselves as the guys to beat. Seb Tremblay is going to have to do his homework tonight and see what he can come up with for tomorrow's race.
Daly gets that spot from Vieira. Great result as well for Phil de Gama Blanchette on the Ducati V2.
Yeah, Blanchette rode up through the pack, which is nice. Unfortunately, Alex Michel had some problems, so he's our final finisher on his Kawasaki.
Congratulations on the win, Torrin. How does it feel to get your first win here, your first time at Shannonville?
It feels amazing. I got off to a good start. I was surprised I got the whole shot because I wheelied a ton. Yeah, just put my head down, put in some good laps. Almost high-sided on like the 3rd last lap, so lost my 2-second lead, but put down like a 6.9 on the last lap. Arm pump and everything, but yeah, really happy.
Congratulations.
A fantastic start to his Bridgestone CSBK Pro Supersport career as Sebastian Tremblay, a solid points result, and great to see Matt Simpson on the box as well, but nobody could touch the 71 today.